Hey, what's up everybody? So welcome back to Aviation Programmer. So we are back to another tutorial. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you about the authentication process using Node.js, Express, MongoDB, and JWT, right? So everything that is included in our authentication process. So I just delivered that all in this course. So this video is just only the demo, and in the next coming parts, I will explain everything in the coding section. So just want to show you that what we are going to build here. So we have a register form. That's where we have three fields: username, email, and the password. So if I just try to click on the register button, so you see on the top we have our validation, which says that invalid username. So we have to add a username here. So let's gonna add here Aviation, and I believe that a username exists in my database. So just for the purpose of showing some errors, I'm gonna do that. So here, if I just try to again click on the register, now it's gonna show the invalid email. So let's gonna add that email as well. So this email is not actually I can duplicate that email, but I can't duplicate the username. So I'm going to authenticate on base of the username. Now, if I just try to click on the register, you see that it says that username already exists. So I'm going to change a bit. I changed that to Aviation 553. All right, so if I just try to click on this register, and you see now you are registered successfully and the message disappeared, right? Now, if I'm registered already. Now, if I just try to access the dashboard, which has the URL, a base URL. Now, if I just try to access that, you see it redirect me back to the login. It means that we have to authenticate, or the JWT token should be inside my cookies in order to access my dashboard, right? So I have used here the JWT, and let's gonna try to log in here, and you see it says that invalid username or password. So I'm gonna add here the Aviation 553. If I try to have my wrong password, which is 1234567, and tries to log in, it says again the error. And now if I just have my right credentials, and there we go. So we are access to the dashboard. Now I'm gonna show you the database. So I'm gonna use here MongoDB. If I just try to sign in here, and I'm gonna show you the accounts, I need to log in with my credentials. So Aviation 553. And actually it's taking some time, so it takes me to the dashboard. So I'm going to show you the collections. So collections are just like the data inside your tables. So I'm going to show you the collections, and don't worry if you have no idea before that. So basically this is the MongoDB Atlas, and I already logged in here, and I'll go to the collections. That's where you could see the collection of the data that you have inserted. So I have two data right now. So the second data you see here, it's already exists. So that's what we're going to use in this whole tutorial. So that's the JSON web token. So with the help of that, we are able to allow you to decode, verify, and generate JWT. So it's basically it's a method for representing securely between two parties. So that's what we're going to use for the authentication, which includes all different decoded. We have the headers, we have the payloads, and the verify signature. So I'm going to explain every single thing once we are inside a coding section, right? So I think so that's it, guys. So you can also log out here. So if I just try to inspect it and go to my networks, or I should go to the application, and I need to go to my cookies, and you see here that we have our name with the name of we have name, we have the value, we have the domain, we have the path. So everything exists here inside my cookies. Now if once I just try to log out here, you see now it's removed from the cookies. Now if I just try to access the dashboard, now so we apply here a condition that if it exists in our cookies, so that's how we can access, so we can verify the dashboard. Otherwise, if it's not exist, we can't log into the dashboard. So that's what we are going to build. So I hope this tutorial is going to be the best tutorial of all time. So I have a shout out here.
This video, if you're really interested of artwork just like me, so you can follow Mustafa.artwork, and it's comprised of all great sculptures, painting, and much more, right? So follow up, and you can also hire her for a project, right? So I want to give this link in the description. So if you have any inquiries about the work, so you can just simply directly communicate that. So that's it, guys. I want to see you in the coding section.
Alright guys, so welcome back to the coding section. So a few things that are highly required here. So make sure you have your Node installed, right? So if you're using recommended version, still fine, latest feature, it's all up to you, right? So you make sure you have your Node.js should be installed, right, in order to run the commands, right? Second thing, it's again, it's not compulsory, but it will be really helpful for us for writing some CLI command lines. So you can install git bash here, and the second thing that I'm going to use here in this series, I'm going to use here EJS, which is basically the embedded JavaScript, right? So you can use that EJS as a template engine. There are other handlebars and much more. So I just feel comfortable with the EJS, so I'm going to use that here, and it's better and it's mostly used. So that's the reason why I use EJS, right? So the last and important thing is that make sure you have set up and sign up in your MongoDB, and if you have signed up in that, just sign in here and let's just create a new cluster. Very basic settings. Still, if you have any confusion, I want to give the link in the description of my last video where I have gone through from all these steps, right? So you just need to click on the create a new cluster, and once you create a cluster, and then it will ask you to create a new project. So simply you just need to press the new project and create a new project, and once you create that, your whole settings would look like that. Might take 3 to 4 minutes, and once it's done, you are able to access all those buttons, right? So we can do that later on. So let's first create a very new project for our Node application. So I'm going to open up my git bash here. Make sure you have your git bash installed. I'm going to use here Visual Studio Code as my code editor. You can use any one of them, but I highly suggest you because it provides a lot of extensions to work with it, right? So let's open it with the VS Code, and I just simply need to code and dot, and it's going to open up my VS Code for me, right? So actually I need to create a folder first. So let's create here a new folder with the name of express, so nodejs-auth, whatever you want to name it. So I'm feel comfortable with that, and just simply right click on here, or you can even click on the folder, and let's click the git bash here and open up your terminal by code and space dot, right? So this is going to open up your VS Code for you, and you can start writing your code here, right? So the basic setting for setting up the Node application is first you have to initialize. That will ask you to the license number, the version, the author name, and this will generate the package.json file where we will have all the dependencies of our application. So let's do that. npm init and -y means that it will not ask me any kind of information that I just need to type. You can even just simply give it if you feel comfortable with, but I don't need that, right? Okay, so you see here we have our package.json file, which includes the name and the version, the description, and the main entry point file that I just want to create, which is server.js. So I just need to change that to index.js. If you want index.js, still fine. Again, it's not recommended. Now I need to do the second step. We have to install the configuration, all the dependencies that were required for our application. So I need to install the Express NodeMon. So basically Express is a backend server, NodeMon, which will help us to continuously run our server. We don't need to refresh and see the change. So I have to repeatedly change node, and then I'd have to type server.js, which is really make me bored, right? So I just need to continuously run my server, so I just need to install NodeMon for that. So let's install that. So npm install express, and I need to install the NodeMon, right? So this is going to generate the express, the NodeMon inside the package.json file, right? So I need to install a few more things for my this part. Number one, I need to do here is I need to install my EJS, which is again a template layout that we're just going to use here. So let's install the npm install EJS. Then I also need to install express-ejs-layouts, and I believe I also need to .env. So basically .env will help us to access our environmental variables or files, right? So I'm going to show you just in a little while. And I need to install EJS, which is already there, and I need to install Mongoose. So basically I'm using Mongoose for MongoDB for connecting a database, so that's why I use that. And there are a few more things that I just need there, but for now I'm just happy with that, right? Just simply press enter, and this is gonna create all those four or three dependencies that were required, right? So let's gonna move into our main file structure. So let's set up our main entry point file with the name of server.js, right? So you see here all those things are installed. So we have our .env, EJS, Express, MongoDB, Nodemon. So everything that is required and it's now gonna install, right? Okay, so let's create here a folder with the name of routes. So I just want to structure my node application in a very better way. So you can use whatever you want, but it's always be a good way that you have your separate routes views, so that it just looks a structure like MVC pattern, right? If you're familiar or aware about it, right? So next we have to create here a folder with the name of views, and inside views we have to set up our files where we have our layouts. So I'm going to set that to be layout.ejs. Again, we are using EJS as a template. So let's create here another file. We have register.ejs. Now, next we have our login.ejs, and definitely we need to have our dashboard. So dashboard, it should be dashboard.ejs. All right. So inside my routes, I'm going to create here two more files here. So the first file, which is the index.js. So this is basically for our main dashboard page. The next file that I'm going to create here is users.js, right? So basically these are the two files that were required for the routing of our application. Okay, so we are good with the routes, we are good with the views. So the last folder for now I just want to create here for this part is the config folder. So that config folder is very important, where we have to set up our database and our environmental variable like port number, or you can have your Mongo URI where we are able to connect a database with the MongoDB Atlas, right? So let's create here a new file with the name of db.js. And next we have to create here another file with the name of config.env, right? And you see here inside your package.json file that we have installed something which is known as .env in order to access those .env files, right? The .env extension. Okay, so we are good with that, and I just need to close all my tabs, and let's open our server.js for set up our connection. Sorry, the first thing I need to is to run the server for a node application. So let's first do and add here our express. So express equal to require express, right? And next thing that I'm gonna use here is I also need to define my path, which I believe I can access that later on. Let's define here app equal to express, and with the help of that we are able to access the express. And next thing that I'm going to use here is the port number. You can simply use here, so const port equal to 3000, and I need to listen the port. So let's use here app.listen, and inside listen I have to define the port number and the callback function, and inside here I need to just simply console.log and define here the server started at port, and let's define dynamically the port, which is the 3000, right? That's how we can access this port variable, right? So that's fine for now. I hope that's really much it. So let's gonna use here Nodemon. As you have seen, we have installed the Nodemon. So let's do here is Nodemon it should be Nodemon and express.js. As simply press enter, and you see now the server started at port 3000. So for this now you see that how easier it's to run our node server, right? So in order to access that, if I just want to open up my new tab and localhost 3000 and press enter, and you see here we have cannot get, and it's just because we haven't set up our routes yet. We haven't rendered, we haven't pass our routes. So that's it, what we are going to do. I just want to take just a few minutes break, and I will be right back. All right guys, so as you've seen, we have our server is started, and now the next thing that I'm going to do is to render the view, right? So we have to create here our routes as well. So in order to create our routes, that's where we are able to access different pages. And so I'm going to do here is just right after the app equal to express, I'm going to create here routes command. Let's command that routes. and app.use, with the help of use method, we're able to access the route. So slash means that it means that we try to access the home page, and the require. Now what I'm actually doing here is, so this require will help me to, you see here we have a folder routes and slash and index. Now what actually I want here is that inside this route, I just create here, as you have seen, I created here a separate file for the index.js. Yes, I can do that. I can simply pass the request and the response in the main server.js file, but it always be a better way to have your separate routes, right? So what I'm going to do here is, so let's pass here const express equal to require, and I'm going to pass here express. And right after here, I need to pass here something which is known as router. So router equal to express dot router, right? That's the way how we can route our pages. So as you know that whenever we are rendering our view, we have a get request, but when we are submitting our form, updating something, so we have our post request or the patch request. So just like that, we need to get the page, we need to access the page. So I'm going to use here router.get method. So this method will help me slash. Now slash, and it must have a request and the response, and I need to render the view. So if I just simply do here res.render, and let's try to access the dashboard here, saves it, and later it's just going to show me some kind of an error. It says that router.use require middleware, right? So I need to export that because we are going to use it. So I'm just simply use here module.export equal to router, and I need to go to my server.js file, and that's where I'm going to able to pass the router. All right, so let's use here if I go to my server.js, and you see now, let's save that. Yeah, it's working fine. In order to access the dashboard, I try to refresh it. It says that no default engine was specified and no extension was provided. As you know, as you've seen that we are using here EJS for our layout. So we have to define that. So let's gonna do here is define the express layout. So const express layouts equal to require, and let's pass here express dash EJS dash layouts. All right, so that's our layout. Next thing that I'm going to do here is I have to use the express layout. So right after the express, I need to define here the app.use, and let's pass here express layouts, and I also need to set up my view engine. So app.set, and let's pass here view engine, and the view engine that I'm going to use here, which is EJS, right? Saves it, and I hope this error should be removed. Now if I try to refresh this, and you see that now we are able to access the dashboard. But if I try to now if I want to get the route for /user/login, you see that this route is not available. Now in order to add that, you see here I want my /user, and then I want to have my specific route which indicates that it's a login page, and same for the register. I need to create that. So for now I need to do a very simple trick here. Just simply copy that app.use for the routes index. I need to use that, but here I need that /user. So basically that means that should be /user. Now I want that register inside my users.js. So how I'm going to do that, and I also need to change that folder to users.js. So I need to have my separate file for the routes. So you see here, that's for my main home dashboard page, and that's what I need for my login, and for both for my login and the register page, right? So let's go here and add the login and the register inside your users.ejs, right? So I need to do a very same trick here. So const express equal to require, I need to pass here express. Next I need to pass my router. So const router equal to express dot router, and I need to router for my router.get, I need to pass my get request for my login page. So again, that should be /login, and next we need to pass our request and the response and then the callback, and here we have to simple render our response. So rest.render, and I need to render it for the login page, and same case for the register. I need to copy that and I just need to change that to register, and that's it, right? So, and I need to export that so we are able to access to our server.js. So module.exports equal to router. All right, saves it. And now if I try to access my login page or register page, you see here, as long as I refresh that, and we are able to access our register. And in order to access the login page, you see we can also see our, which is actually empty for now, right? So what I'm going to do here is I need to do some kind of styling. I need to create some layouts as well. So in order to access your folders for your CSS, we have to pass something which is known as static assets. So in order to pass it, we have to create, first I need to create here a folder. It should be actually inside my root directory, that should be public, and inside public I'm gonna create here a file with the name, a folder. So I just need to create another folder inside that, which is CSS, and let's change that file to be main.css. all right, so in order to access your CSS file or main.css file, all I'm gonna do here is to use it. So right after my EJS inside my server.js, so let's pass here the static assets. So I'm going to use a app.use, and let's, inside your public, you see here you have another folder with the name CSS. So just pass it right here /CSS, and now I need to use here express.static to access our static files, and we have to join. So path.join, so it should be path.join method, and inside join method I have to pass two parameters. So the first is for the directory name, and the second is to access the path. So public folder, inside public we have a CSS folder. All right, so that's fine. So it's showing us some kind of errors. It says that the path is not defined. Yeah, so we need to define the path. So basically this path should be coming from the path module, so which is basically a common JS module. So let's pass here const path equal to require, and let's give it the name of path. Now if I check this out, you see the error is removed successfully. Okay, so here inside my if I go to my views, let's first work with the layout.ejs. So basically I want my complete application I don't need to repeat my layouts. Like I have to, once I set up my main head tags and body tags, and I don't need to again and again add the same structure for the HTML and use it on our pages, but I need to have my separate layouts file, and with the help of that we are able to extend or pass the layouts to our other files. So let's do that here. So I'm going to create that, and a very basic HTML, and just change that title to authentication using JWT, which is basically a JSON web token, so which we are going to use for the authentication. And inside body I'm going to create a very basic container, and inside container I'm going to use something, a syntax for EJS in order to pass the layout. So it should be dash, and I have to pass a body. So basically this body should have everything which I want to render into either file. So let's show you right now. So if I inside my dashboard.ejs, if I just want to show you, so this should be a dashboard page, and saves it. So if I just try to refresh this, you see here it says an error that the body is not defined. Actually I forget to save it. So if I just try to save it, and now you could simply just see that now your error is removed now. So I need to do here is to create a layout structure for my dashboard, which you have seen. I pass here dashboard. Now in order to access that, so I just need to go to my dashboard, and you see I have my title. If I just simply press Ctrl U, you see I don't need to repeat that. Already I can set up my layouts, right? It's very simple. Now I need to do that for all my login and the register pages. So let's go inside my login page, and I just need to start first with the my register. Okay, so let's create here a form, and inside my form I have my H1, and inside H1 I have my register form. And right after the register form, I need to create here a form dash group, and inside form dash group I have my input field. So input type of tags, so I don't need any name, so remove that, and ID equal to, just name that username, and let's pass here the class for the form dash control, and I need to have my placeholder enter username. All right, so just simply copy that. Right, so now next I want that for my email, and just change that to enter email, and that should be for the password. So this should be input type of email, and that should be the input type of password, and just simply change that ID to be password. All right, now if I go back and let's access the register page, so that should be /user/register, and you see you can't see anything here, and the reason why, because it's not passing my register layout here. So in order to do that, I need to go to my layout, I don't know why it's actually not passing the layout, just like the dashboard. So I need to go to, yeah, it should be register. I forget to have my login, so that should be for my register. Now if I go back and refresh this, and you see we have our register form. So I need to do a few changes for my CSS. I recommend that if you want to skip that CSS part, still fine, but if you need to follow up with me, still good. So I just try to add the CSS as fast as I could. So I'm gonna copy most of the stuff. So basically, so this asterisk means that the margin and padding, which is 0. I need the box sizing to be border dash box, and the height of the body, and which is 100%, the background color, and I'm going to use here flex, so display flex, and the font family is sans serif. And I need to do for my form, I need to use my container. Let's simply paste it here. So the margin is auto. I need the width of 500 pixels, the maximum width. Just copy that. I don't think so you guys need to write. I don't want to waste a lot of time of yours, so I just want to repeat. So width and the height of the form, and the padding and the background color, border radius for the corners, and some shadow. Okay, so now next I want for my text fields. So for my text field, I need my width to be 100%, the height of the input type field, the height of the input field, and the margin and the background color inside the text field, some border radius, and the padding and margin. Very simple. And for my button, I have applied a lot of CSS for that. So I need some margin. I need to make my button into some sort of center. So I just use here translate, and some background color, border radius, and all those stuff. So I will definitely add the repo. You can also copy that from here, right? And I also have some hover effect, which is for the background color. And later on, I'm going to use something like a drop down the nav bar, and some messages which we are going to do. So the backend stuff, I will never do that like that, because this course is more related to the Node application, not for the front end. So I just want to skip that part, mostly the CSS, right? So don't worry about it, right? So if I just try to refresh this, you see it's not access the CSS main.css file. The reason why, because I haven't defined my CSS file inside my layout.ejs. So let's go down here and pass the style sheet, and href equal to /css, and / in the name of the file, which is main.css file, right? So now if I go back and refresh this, and there we are, right? So there we go. So that's where you see, that's where you could see that we are able to do that. So next I need to change for my register form. So let's go back to, I need to change the font color for my register. So let's go to my register.ejs, and I need to change that. So register.ejs, let's go to the styling section, and I need to change the h1 to be color of white. Now let's try to save it, and there we are. So that's where you could see that we have our register form. And I have to add here the button for my register.ejs, so I need to create that. So right after that div, let's pass it input type equal to submit, and class for the btn, and I need to value equal to register. So that's here, you see. So now we have our register form. Next thing that I need to here is to just use the very similar for my login page. So I'm going to copy it from here and paste it right up here and change that to login form. And I don't need any email for my login. I just simply need my username and the password to login. So just change that value to be login. And if I go back and access my login page, and there we are, right? So you can change that to align its center if you want. So let's align that into center, and there we are. And I just need some margin. So margin from the bottom, let's add 12 pixel. All right, so that looks fine. Okay, so for my nav bar or for my dashboard, I need to again add my CSS. So let's add for my nav link. So right after the body, I need to, or even after container, let's give it the nav bar ul list style none. And I need to, for my nav, let's copy that from my code. Simply display align block, text align center, and transform translate for my nav into the center. I need some hover links as well. So let's add the color from the background, and I need to add. So the simplest way for you to follow here is you can simply copy that all main.css from my GitHub repo, and you can follow up with me if you don't want to write a lot of CSS. Next, for my nav, and I'm also using here my list items, means that for my individual list item, the position should be relative, and we have to, so that we are able to access the drop down, and that's the position for the absolute for my drop down, so that we are able to access our drop down, and the width and the height. And same here, it's a lot of CSS, so I just want to copy it all for now. So drop down, after the drop down, I just need to add all from the, it should be where. So right after that, I copy that here. So from the drop down, we have allies, we have the anchor tag, then I have a hover effect, then for my drop down hover effect, and some kind of the animation that I also apply here if you need it. And right after that, I need to have my keyframes. So right after down, after the container button, I need to add this, right? You can even stop that and you can write up, but I don't think so that it's required. You don't need to waste if you are looking for the backend stuff more. So let's go to the dashboard, and I need to create here a nav. So nav, and then I need to have my ULs. Inside UL, I have my 3 more pages. So the first, for the home, if you want to add about page, and inside this L, I need to have my profile page. And right after that, I need to create my drop down.
and inside that drop down I need to have my li and the anchor tag, and let's create that later on for the logout, which we will do. Saves it. I need to wrap. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's go back and access the dashboard, and here we go. Right, so that's where you see now we are able to access the home page with a very good looking UI, right? So we are good with the layouts for now, and I'm just gonna take a break, and in the next after the break we are able to connect our database with our MongoDB. Alright guys, so welcome back. So up to this point you see that we have completed our layout structure, and now we have to connect our database with the MongoDB. So if you have any confusion, you can watch my previous video. I want to give the link in the description as well, but make sure it's very simple. All you need to do is to simply create a new cluster. This will ask you about the origin, which is basically AWS. It is going to change about the cluster name. You just need to click OK if you don't want to change. And then once you do that, you have to create a new project, just like I did. You just need to click on the new project. Then you have to do some security changes. So database access, that I have to even create that for now. So let's do and follow. So add a new database. So I wanna give that name to the password authentication. So let's give it here the AB Nation, and I just want to have OK with the password. So just simply AB Nation. All right. So just need to click on the add user, and this is going to add the user for me, right? Next we have our network access. So I need to click on the add IP address. So if you want to add your current IP address, or you can access from anywhere. So if you're in the production mode, you can just simply click IP address, but I don't want to show you, so I just click on the access from anywhere. So just simply add that one, and that's it, right? So if I just go back to the clusters, and that's, you see we have some buttons here. This will gonna show you metrics, the collections where our database tables are, and that's where we need to click on the connect, and it will ask you some connectivity settings. So you can connect with the Mongo shell, you can connect the application, or you can connect with the MongoDB Compass, which is basically a GUI, right? So I'm happy with the with connecting our application with the help of MongoDB Atlas. So simply grab that one, and as you see that we have created our file inside our config.env, and I need to set up here a few things. So I have to set up here the port number if you want here, but it's fine. Let's add the port number here as well. So port is 3000, and I need to add my URI, which is just copied here. So let's add here Mongo_URI equal to that, right? So here you see it will ask me about the password. I need to change that password what I have set up, so which is AB Nation. All right, and I need to change the database name, which I have created here. So let's gonna see. So it's nodejs-auth, right? So just change that to nodejs-auth. All right, saves it, and that's it. That's the very basic settings required here. Now inside my db.js, I need to create here a connection with the Mongoose. So we already installed here. I just want to confirm here. So yeah, I have installed the Mongoose. So let's define here inside our db.js. So const mongoose equal to require. So let's define that here. And right after that, I need to connect with my database. So const, I just created here a variable with the name of db, and it's an async, and it means async await. It will check if that response is coming, so continuously. So async, and let's define here the try and catch, right? So try and catch exception handling, and I need to pass a console.log if there's some error, so just show us. All right, so that's fine, and let's go inside the try. I need to connect it. So const connect equal to mongoose dot connect, and I need to, as I have defined my process.env. So in order to access .env, all you see that inside my config.env we have our mongo_UI. So just copy that, and right after that paste it here, and there's another parameter, and I need to pass some kind of
some kind of parameters where we are able to not see the errors on a console. So use the new URL parser, make that true. If you don't do that, then it will show you the exception in your console. So I just need to remove that. So use unified topology and make that to be true. And next we have our use, find, and modify. So it should be false. And next we have our use create index, which might not require for now, but I'm going to add that because later on this will help me. So now if that is connected, so I need to console.log, and let's add here MongoDB connected. So I need to show the host name for the connection, so you can do that. So con.connection dot, and that should be host, and make sure that it should be smaller c, and I'm using here async, so I need to use here await here right after that. Okay, saves it, and let's export the module. So module dot exports equal to that variable that we passed, so that we are able to access to our server.js file, right? So I'm gonna go right up here and define my .env, which I haven't defined yet. So right after the path, let's define that. So const.env, as I've explained, in order to access the env. So let's require that, and .env, and I need to apply the configuration for the .env. So right after the, and I also need to pass here connectdb. So const connectdb equal to require. So let's get that to be config/db. All right, that's fine. Okay, so we need to define that right after that. So .env .config, and inside configuration I need to set up the path. So that should be path object, and inside path object I need to define my config. I hope that should be fine. Or it should be .env.config, and it should be /config.env. okay, so I need to simply do here is connect db, and let's refresh this. And if I go to my terminal, and so far we are able to connect our database. So as you see here, we have a host name. So that's it for this section. I hope you guys learned something out of it. It's very easy connection. I just want to explain you. So we look for the Mongos, and then we have a connectdb, and we have an async await. That's where we are able to access the URI, and we pass some parameters in order to avoid the console. And in order to check and see the host name for a database, I just simply console that here. And in order to exit the process, so you just simply do here process.exit and this is going to close the process, right? So make sure you also do that. And right after that, you see here we pass the connect. That's where you see we have export that in order to access to the server.js. I pass right up here connect db, and we define that db.js file right inside our main file of entry point file. And we have to, in order to access the configuration.env, we have to set up like that way .env.config. So we are able to add the configuration for the env. And next, even if I don't need that, I hope that I haven't used it somewhere. So for accessing the environmental, it's required for the path, but if you don't need that, you can skip it. And next we have simply connect db. Okay, so you see here now we have connected with a database. So this part, I think so this part is much for now, and we have set up our configuration, we have installed most of the packages, we have set up our database connection, setting our layouts for different routes. So now we are only left with the login registration process. So first I will complete the registration process, which will include the validation, which will include the models and everything. So that's what we're going to cover in the next part. So that's it for this video. If you guys really love it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I want to see you in the next part.